I'm Arwyn Halloran. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm 13 and in the 7th grade. Earlier this year, we had a substitute in Spanish class, and I'd finished the assignment, so she asked me to write a story in Spanish. So I did, and I wrote about a girl who got married to another girl. I showed it to her, and she read it, and she goes, okay, so could you maybe write a different story? I was a little confused, and I didn't really know what to do with that. So I wrote another story like she asked. But that was just sort of, it made me think, like, what was wrong with that? I realized that some of the people at my school might not be as accepting as they showed and said they were. In one of my classes, we had an assignment to write an autobiography about ourselves. And so my mom is gay and married to another woman. And so I included that, but I didn't know whether to include my sexuality and my identity, because that is part of my autobiography, but I was a little nervous because we would have to present these to the class, and I didn't know how my class would react. I'd come out to a few of my friends, and I'd just come out as bi because I didn't really know what else, because I knew that that was a label that most of them would know and understand, and I didn't really want to have to explain. But even just with bi, I did have to explain to some people. And that made me even a little more nervous. Some of my other classmates in their reports had gone through some pretty hard stuff as they were kids. It was a totally different topic, but they were still able to stand up there and tell their stories. And I saw that really helped the class. And so I thought that I realized that my story could help too. And telling my real story could help. And that I could do that. And I decided this while sitting at my desk preparing for my presentation. So I walked up to the front of the class to present my report, and I was terrified. My hands were shaking. I was so nervous. But I decided to do it, and I was going to go through with this. So I talked about me as a baby and, that kind of stuff. And then talked about my mom and getting married to this other woman and my feelings about that. And then I started talking about last year and when I realized that I was actually part of this LGBT plus community that I'd heard about and how weird that was for me. And just the blank stares I got back from my classmates. The classmates that I'd come out to, because I've been out to a few before this, but only like 3 or something, they were like, oh my God, she's like saying this, like what? And the other classmates, some of them were like, oh, okay. And some of them I just noticed were like, what is happening? Like, what is she saying? What? And my teacher, so I finished talking, and she just like stared at me, and then she was like, okay, is there anyone else that wants to present? And after everyone else, she'd been like, oh, good job, like that was a great report. And then for me, she was just like, okay, next. And so I kind of got the feeling that my teacher was didn't really know what to do with me anymore. And afterwards, when I was on my way to my next class, one of my best friends came out to me and she was like, I'm gonna give you a hug. That was really brave of you, good job. But also other people came out to me and were like, what? So what's happening with you? And I was like, so I'm bi. And they were like, what is that? And I was a little like, okay. I think that it was probably and is going to be beneficial for my class to have heard that story, my story, and know that even among us, like we're a pretty small group, but still, I'm pretty sure that later in life or maybe even next week, another one of my classmates is going to realize that they're also not straight or cis or whatever. And so I hope that this story and me being brave enough to do that will help them. But I also think it's really helped me to realize that I can tell them who I am and be who I am. I think it's been really good for me to actually stand up there in front of the class and say, I am who I am, and, I make no apologies. this is who I am if you don't understand it. I'm happy to help you understand that, but I'm not going to change, and this is me. And telling my real story could help, and that I could do that. So that's what really made me decide to stand up there and say that.